So many of our friends in abroad also who wish to listen Guruji's lectures in English. It is not possible for us to translate every lecture in English, but Vyom has asked me that Guruji should deliver, should throw some light on our system of belief, our philosophies, our culture. So it would be our very brief, very initial step that our friends who know only English and are settled in abroad, they can be familiar with our basic terms of belief system, our culture, our philosophies. So I would request Guruji to throw some light on this topic.
Indian philosophy and Indian culture both are the most ancient philosophy and culture of the world. The Western scholars, they have assessed that Vedic Aryans gave their Ved to the world, Vedic knowledge to the world about 7,000 years back. It means about 5,000 years before the Christ, before BC, Christ, before Christ. So when we start on Indian philosophy, it becomes very difficult for the Western scholars to believe this thing, that India would have been on such a height about 7,000 years back. Now what are Vedas? Ved in Sanskrit means knowledge. Vid, to know. Vid is the root from which Veda has been coined. So Vid means knowledge. So Indian culture is based on knowledge. Gyan. Gyan is the essence of Indian culture. But Gyan is not something very hollow. Some hollow things. Therefore, Gyan requires that it should be implemented in our conduct also. And therefore, Indians have declared Achar Hinam na Puranti Veda. Those who do not have good conduct, or those who are characterless people, they cannot be purified or dignified even if they correct the knowledge of whole Vedas, whole world. So therefore, our knowledge must be implemented, or practically it must come into our conduct. This is called Karam Marg. And then Karam Marg and Gyan Marg both may lead to something vanity, something which is hollow pride, ahankar. This is called ahankar. I am proud of this thing. So this haughtiness makes a man very low, although he may be man of great knowledge. So man should be very modest in his conduct, in his speech, and in his dealing with others. This is called devotion. Devotion means bhakti. In India it is called bhakti, it's devotion. So all these three things, they are the essence, the knowledge, path of knowledge, the path of action, and the path of devotion. These three things are the three ways to cross all the hurdles of this worldly life. This worldly life has been seen by Indians as full of miseries and sufferings. All the six systems of India, they start from this problem. Western philosophy does not reach this. The practical problems of human life, they are not the concern of Western philosophy. Western philosophy is concerned with the nature of the universe, whereas Indian philosophy is concerned with the problems of human life. And the greatest problem of human life, as has been clearly stated in very clear terms by Buddha. Buddha says three sufferings. All men have some kind of suffering. Some persons have physical suffering, some persons have mental suffering, anxiety, neurosis, etc. But all persons, if you sit with person and win his confidence, then he will tell you confidentially what is his real suffering. He is suffering for many things mentally, but he is not able to narrate those things to any person, because if you say anything to a person who is not your confident, then he will afterwards he will exploit you, blackmail you, after knowing your views. So therefore, these sufferings, they become a mental diseases, anxiety, neurosis, psychiatric diseases. So all these things are to be cured. So Buddha said that all persons are suffering from some kind of the disease, whether it may be physical disease, it may be mental disease, or anything else beyond that, or spiritual decline, means immorality. So all these things are prevailing throughout the world. But three things are universal suffering. Universal suffering is old age. A person who will come into old age will feel great anxieties. Our psychology, Indian psychology says the greatest anxiety, greatest disease of the old age is the feeling of loneliness. The world has left me or rejected me or compelled me to send into isolation. So this is the disease of universal disease of all old persons. This is old age disease. The first disease is, this is called jara. Then second thing is maran, death. Death is the universal suffering. It leaves a great shock on those persons with whom you are closely associated. And then vyadhi, some disease. This body has been called the seat of many diseases. So these things are universal. How to get rid of these three things? So Indian philosophy starts with this thing, that try to know the sufferings of your fellow beings and try to find some cure of these diseases. And all Indian systems, right from Ved up to Vedant, they have found some sort of relief from this worldly miseries. That is called moksha, deliverance. So Indian philosophy revolves around these things, that try to know the sufferings of your fellow beings and then try to find out the solution of those sufferings. And if these sufferings are removed permanently, then it will be called permanent deliverance. So this is the essence of Indian philosophy and Indian culture. Though Indian philosophy has such a vast literature, as Radhakrishnan said, that you keep the Indian literature on one side of the scale and keep the whole world, the literature, religious literature or sacred literature of all the religions of the world on the other side of the scale, then the Indian literature will prove heavier than that. So this is vast literature.
Guruji, once Radhakrishnan said that our philosophy, our culture, our traditions are having the real essence of democracy too. If these vanishes, then concept of the democracy won't go furthermore.
Our Ved, the first ever book written in the world, whole world. There is no other book in the world which is more ancient than Veda. It means man started thinking, our seers and saints started thinking, and in the very thinking the essence of democracy is contained. Democracy is contained in Veda in this way: Ekam sad vipara bahuda vadanti. Truth is one. Truth cannot be two. Just as infinities cannot be two, Similarly, because truth is infinite, neither it has beginning nor it has end, so truth is one. But the scholars, the great persons, the sages, the seers, they have full freedom to express that truth. After knowing it, after realizing it, they have freedom to express it in their own way. So, freedom of thought is the essence of Indian philosophy and Indian culture. This is the strength of Indian philosophy and this is the weakness of Indian philosophy. Strength because, as the great person, great writer of the civilization, Bill Durant has written that if Indian culture dies, he has written the history of culture in 6 volumes. Bill Durant. Our Oriental heritage is one of the volumes devoted to Indian culture and Indian philosophy. And there he says that if somehow Indian culture dies, then there will be no freedom of thought in the world, on this earth. So freedom of thought is the strength of India, that we have given full freedom to express your whatever you have felt or whatever you have thought or whatever you have seen about that ultimate truth. And this freedom has created so many sects in India. This is weakness. So many religious sects have emerged in India. Any person who is a great thinker, he starts expressing that truth in a way. So this is also a weakness in India. Then they fight on this system. So Indian philosophy is from the very beginning is democratic. Even in Gita, Krishna narrated the whole thing, whole philosophy of life to Arjuna. But after that, in the end, he said that I am not imposing something on you, because imposing our thought on others is not allowed in Indian philosophy. You can give some advice to some person, you can tell your own experiences to some person, or you can say anything, but in the end you will have to say like Krishna, now I have narrated whatever was the reality and whatever are the real end of human life and human everything, but it is for you now to decide whether you accept my advice or whether you don't accept. So man has free, karmanyavadi karaste, man has free to choose his action. Complete freedom has been given to man to choose his actions and to choose, not only to choose, but to express those things. I am choosing this action and because this thing, so you can express that thing. This freedom is not granted anywhere in the world.
Guruji, even in our philosophical system, in our traditions, we find many sects which appears on the surface contrary to each other, but they are as a whole part of whole system of the Indian thinking processes, our culture, our philosophies. This is the very beautiful phenomena.
This is, as I told you, this is due to this thing that our Veda has allowed those who are the scholars, those who are saints, those who are sages, those are learned persons, they have been given freedom to express the reality, the experience of reality and their thought about reality in whatever they like. Now other persons will criticize, may accept you or not accept you. It is for public to choose. It is for general men to choose. It is for other scholars to choose. But you have full freedom. In 18th century, this freedom was given by J.S. Mill. His book on liberty is a very famous book. It is the foundation of Western democracy. So what Mill or English persons they have said in 18th century, it was said by our Vedas 5000 years before Christ. So we are not, we cannot, we have not, no right to impose our opinions on others. Every man, even the fool, has the right to express his opinion, freedom to opinion. It is for people to accept it or to condemn it, not for any authority.
And Guruji, one thing our friends would really glad to know, and it would be certainly a great fact for them, that in our system, our belief system, our traditions, there is no any particular book that is called the ultimate and the only sacred book of our belief system. There are the many books. One can have his book and other can have
Yes, yes.
that book. If we replace one book by other, the foundation is not shattered by that act.
As I am telling, Indian philosophy has given full freedom. So many literature, many books have been written by Indian seers. As I was telling, that according to Radhakrishnan, keep their secret books on one side of the scale and keep whole literature of the whole world on other side. Indian side will be heavier. So there is no single book in India who says the same thing or repeats the same thing. They have full freedom to express that thing. But all the system end at what place? That place is how to find the solution or the remedy for removing all our sufferings. So all the systems, whether they are Vedic system, which are called orthodox system, and whether they are non-Vedic system, which are non-orthodox, in Buddha, Jain, etc. They don't believe in Vedas. This is non-orthodoxy. And this is orthodox system, they believe in Vedas, in the reality. So whether it is Veda or Vedic system or whether it is non-Vedic system, the ultimate end of all the system, how to get relief, how to get released from the worldly problems, worldly sufferings. These sufferings, as in the beginning I said, it may be physical suffering, it may be mental, psychological suffering, or it may be supra-mental, means spiritual suffering. Sufferings of three types. So all these three types of suffering, they keep person always under stress and under mental problem. So how to find out the release? What is the method to get out of these things? So others, all the thinkers, they have in their own way, because they are free to express. So in their own way, they have tried to find out the solution of these problems. So end of all the systems say how to get release from these suffering. The snare of worldly suffering and snare of all the problems, whether they be psychological, whether they be moral, or whether they be physical. So this is the end of all the things, all Indian systems. Therefore we say Indian system arises from the human problems and end in the release of finding relief from these problems.
Ji, Guruji, it can be stated in the end of our discussion that our Indian belief system is a very colorful system. It is not a singular type of single colored system. So there are many shades of life. Our belief system, our religion, our philosophies are divergent in nature, and everything is contained in that. Nothing is sent out of the flow of the thoughts or belief system. And Guruji, in the end, what what message would you like to deliver to the friends in abroad? What ultimate message for them you would have to say?
I would say the things in Urdu. Indian system are varied, and this variety gives them richness. There is no monotony of thought. And as Vikasji was telling, not a single book contains the essence of whole Indian culture. There are many books. You can choose any book. In the end, you will find how to get suffering from our. And they three ways are there. On each way, you will find enough literature. The way of knowledge. Try to know the secrets of human life. Try to know from where this human life came and where we shall go in the end. So try to know the mysteries of the universe, this universe. So try to attain as much knowledge as possible. As Socrates said in West, philosophy is the unending quest for knowledge. Indian philosophy says the same thing. Indian philosophy says those who want to get relief from the sufferings of the world through the way of knowledge must acquire knowledge, because there is no end of knowledge. And if you reach the ultimate of knowledge, Vedant, the end of knowledge, then you shall automatically be relieved. Similarly, there is a way of action. This way of action has also been, Gita is the most shining literature on Karam Marg. So, if you choose Karam Marg, then there are many persons who have said, Ramanuja has said about Karam Marg and other persons also. But Gita is the book that gives the essence of Karam Marg. So, if you want to go through deeds, how to know, how to do noble deeds, how to get the deeds which you will relieve from the world suffering. So Gita is Karam Marg that. So on Karam Marg there is huge literature. Similarly, devotion. Devotion is the essence that those persons who cannot acquire knowledge, they are not proper competent to acquire as much knowledge as possible. And similarly, those persons who don't have enough infrastructure to good deed to humanity. If a man wants to give charities to poor persons, but he don't have the resources, how can he do this thing? So such persons who are devoid of all these things, they will come to devotion. They will devote surrender. Devotion means the complete surrender to God. Then God will descend His mercy on them, His love, shower His love on them, affection on them, and He will relieve them. So on bhakti also there is enough literature. So it is for a person, as I tell you, karmanyavadikaraste. Adhikar hai, this is your right, fundamental right, to choose anything. Nothing is being imposed. Indian philosophy never imposes anything on us.
Ji Guruji. And what about the share you have promised?
But the essence of Indian philosophy, I was telling, is one शेर. दर्द दिल के वास्ते पैदा किया इंसान को, वरना ताइत के लिए कुछ कम न थे कर्रूबियाँ. कर्रूब कहते हैं एंजल्स. When God created this world, then first of all the angels were created from Noor, from light. And every angel, since he was created from the light, he was enlightened. The enlightened angels were given only one work, that they should devote themselves to the prayer of the Lord, singing prayer of the Lord. They are doing this thing. And on every star there is one angel placed by God. God placed one angel on one star, and on all the stars angels were placed. So for prayer and worship these angels were sufficient. God did not need any other person to worship Him. Why He created man? This is the essence of humanity that Indian philosophy gives. God said that angels are doing prayer and worship for me, or every angel is doing something in my praise, singing my praise throughout. but they are not worried about the conditions of other fellows. One angel never goes to their to inquire from him whether he is suffering from some disease, whether he is hungry, whether he is in trouble. Nobody goes to it. So God said that we know I don't need any other community to worship me except these angels. Infinite angels are there. So what? Why man was created? Dard-e-dil. To man to understand the sufferings of his fellow beings, showing love on them. Love is the essence of Indian philosophy. Love those whom nobody has loved. If you love your ministers and king and prime minister, etc., it is not love. It is in Indian philosophy, it is chamchagiri, lurking their shoes. This is not love. If you love some persons who are rich, even then you are doing the something which is pleasing them. So you are singing their praise because they are very rich persons and high persons. If you love your parents, then this is not love, it is only shraddha. Service, sense of service told. But if you love those persons whom nobody has loved, if you go to such persons who are weeping and nobody is there to wipe out their tears, then that is with real love. So understanding the sufferings of fellow being, dard-e-dil. Understand the sufferings of a fellow being and try to remove them. For this purpose man has been created. Man has forgot this person and is doing the work that is the job of the angels. So there is confusion about that. Man should learn this thing from Indian philosophy, that this is the service to humanity, is service to God. If you serve humanity, this is service to God. So this is the essence of our philosophy and culture.
So our dear friends settled in Canada. So it was a brief sketch of our Indian culture, and it was very, very, very brief. And if Vyom give some hint or direct me, then a specific questions can be raised, specific answers can be asked from the Guruji.
They can ask any question about Indian culture. What I have said today, it is about Indian philosophy. Now Indian culture is still very rich. It is the only culture, surviving culture on the world. Every other culture was destroyed completely, and even their chin, even their sign, even their anything about them has been written on the pages of the books, but they are not surviving on this earth. It is the only culture, Indian culture, that is surviving up to this day.
Continuity there is.
And this is due to some things which are only in Indian culture and not others. So about Indian culture, we can also talk something afterwards, but what I told you today is about Indian philosophy. Or the principles given therein, you will be killed. This is called blasphemy there. But in Indian culture, there is no such thing. There is no word in Sanskrit which is equivalent to blasphemy. धर्मद्रोह का शब्द जो है अंग्रेजी का ट्रांसलेट किया है, संस्कृत लिटरेचर में नहीं है. This word is not found in Indian culture. So there is no such thing. Even you can raise your banner against God. Other philosophies, other cultures never permit this thing.
In our system, there are the sects in the philosophies who believe in God and who don't believe in God. They are equally respected.
There are many philosophies who don't believe in God. Charvak do not believe in God. Vaisheshik do not believe in God. Mimamsa does not believe in God. Buddhism does not believe in God. Jainism does not believe in God. You don't believe in God, don't care for that. But believe in one thing, that we are to remove the sufferings of our fellow beings.
Ji. And so there are the many things which can be discussed and asked to the Guruji, and he is well competent to give appropriate answers to these questions. But also, we would request our foreigner friends that they know India through the writings, through the literature, through the videos, any other material, and also if ever they have any chance to visit India, then please come on this land and we will discuss many things, and we would enjoy traveling to our so many destinations here. So we would like to conclude our talk here, and rest of things to
Things
be discussed
will follow.
next time.
Rest of the things will follow whenever any question is raised.
Okay, namaskar.